Hi everybody, this is Kenneth and welcome to another painting video. Today I'm going to show you my paints for this squad of 10 Warhammer 40k Horsemen. At least I think that's what they are. I don't really know where these units are from. I was told that they were already painted. Apparently the previous owner had done some basing. He had assembled the models and he had done some work on the horse. So all I was told to do was to paint the horsemen on top of the horses, and that was done. When I received them, as you can see from the pictures here, they were not really, so I went back to negotiate with the client and we decided to do an overhaul of all the models here. So the first thing that I wanted to do with these models was to remove the grass from the base of the models. I took an X-Acto knife and started scraping, but I soon realized that they were actually super glued to the base, and I had to deal with whatever I could because it just refused to get off. I was scraping the plastic off the base of the model. That was a no-go. I also realized that there were holes left where the pegs are, where the model would fit into the base, so that had to be changed as well. For my first steps, I did some zenithal highlighting. For those who do not know what zenithal highlighting is, it is when you spray a light color over a dark color from the top of the model where the sun is in its zenith. It simulates light on the model. So I went over all the models with black first, making sure to coat thoroughly because I don't know how long these paints have been, hence the black primer. Then I moved to a white primer and ensured that I coated the sides in grey and made sure that full bright white was only from the top. The client wanted 2 different types of horse colors and 2 different types of horsemen, so I went around and looked for horse picture references that I could use, and I settled for this blue horse and a typical brown horse. Each of these horses had really cool details that I wanted to mimic on the horse themselves, like the white patches on top of the brown horse's nose and the black on the legs of the blue horses. I didn't want to ruin the zenithal highlighting that I did, so I decided to use glaze as base colors, basically blue and brown, in light thin coats so that the highlights and the shadows from the zenithal highlighting would come through and the glaze would only tint the color of the horse. It took a while to get the glaze consistency right for the base colors, but I think it turned out well in the end. After basing, I went on to do the details for the horse, like the mane. Both the horses had black manes, the hooves, and the other details like the eyes, the teeth, that sort of thing. The reins and saddle details came in next. I was working down to up because I wanted to do the least important bits and I know the largest areas of the horse first. And I'm not sure, I think what ran around the horse as well was armor, so we got to painting that in brown as well. Following the reins and saddle detail, I went to do the saddle cloth, and on top of the horses being different colors, the troops also would be different colors. So I did a quick scheme of both of the troops. It would be purple capes with silver armor for the blue horses and bronze armor with red capes for the brown horses. So the saddle cloth came in and I did bright blue for the blue horses and yellow for the brown horse. At this point, I was already doing a lineup of sorts, so it was easy to progress from mini to mini because I was doing one part for all the horses. And that's something I recommend you doing as well if you're painting multiple miniatures, is that you focus doing or repeating the one action. It allows you to not need to switch colors so often. It allows you to paint multiple things at one time, and it allows you to finish multiple things at one time. So day to day, you see your progress on your entire army rather than, oh, I have one finished miniature, or I have one finished miniature. After the saddlecloth, it was time for the Horsemen themselves. The biggest part, of course, would be the capes, primarily because I didn't want to disassemble the models. If you can, I also would recommend you paint in separate parts before assembling. Also, if you have a blue tack handy, you could actually pre-assemble the model to do zenithal highlighting if you were worried about lighting, for example. And once the cape and armor detail was done, now normally I would start with the hardest part, which is the face first. But I guess I was in a different sort of mood and I wanted to test the colors for the horses first before moving into the horsemen. So next was the skin and the face. This is always the hardest part of painting miniatures, getting facial features correct, getting the eye detail correct. And it's always in 3 layers, right? You always do your darkest black, followed by a white, followed by the pupils. I had and I still have a lot of trouble doing faces, which is usually why I do them first. And one of the hardest things I find is to not overpaint too much, because the more times I redo and the more layers I put on it, the thicker the paint becomes and the more detail I lose in the face. So it's really like a time thing where you can't screw up too many times. On top of that, the model's already assembled, so it was difficult to angle my hand around the horseman just to get to its face. And of course, once the skin was done, I left the metallic armor for last. The red capes wore bronze armor and the purple capes wore silver armor. It was pretty simple glossing over metallic paints. Metallic paints are usually thicker. They usually have stronger opacity to them. There were some bits like the shoes and inside the thighs, which were difficult to reach because of the models being assembled. But I did with what I could. And there was some extra cloth details as well that I missed at that point. So I had to fill this up as well. And after that was done, a weapons detail came in next. I mixed up my silvers, and silver paints are actually really easy to mix down. I used my silver, my plata silver, and I just threw in black, and it became a sort of gun steel look. It was basically dark gray with a metallic sheen, and you could mix like a bronze and gold to make a lighter bronze as well, and then of course silver. So I did like 3 different metallics for the guns so that I don't just paint over an entire gun with one metal color. So what was left after I was done, which I didn't film because I had to do it off camera, was to cover the holes with green stuff, primarily, then the terrain. So because I did zenithal highlighting, the base was mostly black, so all I had to do was add layers of hodgepodge, rocks, and 2 or 3 colors of flock so that it gave a natural grass look to it. On top of that, the flock actually laid on top of the original dark grass, the painted black grass, and so it looked more natural, like it was earth underneath all the green. And finally, I rimmed the bases black, and that was done. I hope somebody has learned something during this process, because I'm not a fantastic painter. And if you have any comments, please leave them down below. If you don't like my painting, please tell me. If you think I can do something better next time, also please leave it in the comments. Thanks for watching. And that's it. I'll just let the final photos roll.